All right, Kevin, this is the moment you've been preparing for. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling nervous and excited, but I'm gonna kill it.
You've got this. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cool. How you doing all? My name is Kevin Celisca, and I'm the co-founder of Integrate. The problem in the education market, K to 12, is there's too many softwares in the school environment. Teachers have to focus on managing all these different software rather than teaching the classroom, and admin aren't using the data efficiently because the softwares weren't meant to work for each other. The solution: one school, one software. Integrate is an all-in-one school software that automates the management so teachers can focus on teaching rather than managing all these different software. And we streamline the data so admins or principals can actually make decisive decisions with the real-time data that Integrate provides. The market size is unbelievable. Just in the US alone, it's $1.5 billion. And with the current traction that we have 5 schools beta testing, we have 2 signed letter of intent, and we're expecting $100,000 by the end of this year. Our business model is $20 per student, and we're currently raising $500,000. Thank you.
All right, so I'll jump in. So even walking, I don't know if it's obviously you're pitching, so it's the nervousness, and so you kind of feel that, and as you jump into the presentation, you were the same tone the entire time. So the first thing I would say is, just to make it easier for you, is structure, like the point and the idea. Let me start with that. It sounds phenomenal, makes perfect sense. And I have 3 children who are in schools, and so I'm familiar with the software. So the idea in and of itself is great. So you want to then package that in a way where you're highlighting or emphasizing some of these key points so that the listener understands what I should be anchored on. And so that would be my first piece of feedback, and it was said earlier, pause even, or identify, like, what are some of the things that you can do to really help highlight that this is a point that we should be anchored on. So the biggest thing is, take the deep breath. I know it's nervous. You're doing it, and then write out again that structure of how you want to present. Like, here are the 3 things I'm going to tell you. However it's comfortable for you. But that way, it helps you stay mentally focused on. You don't have to memorize a script, because here are the 3 categories. I've said item number 1, here were my 2 points, now my item number 2, and now my item number 3. And that way, at some point, it looked like you were trying to recall, what line do I insert here? And by structuring it that way, it's just a natural flow for your conversation.
I think nerves are always going to be a part of pitching, right? Yeah. And when you are entering a pitch situation, you're really entering a new environment, and you have to give your body a chance to catch up. So starting off slow and confidently is a great way to give yourself the opportunity to do that and then own the rest of the pitch, because I thought the content was great. And if you find a few places to maybe come off your baseline, start a little bit more slowly, could be really awesome.
Yeah, I agree with what these guys are saying about, essentially, I think it comes down to pitch and tone in terms of how you pace yourself and which points you choose to go faster over to engage the audience, which points you choose to go slower on to make sure everybody's tracking with you as you're speaking. And some of that comes through as you kind of outline which portions you need to, places your money portions, right? Like, which portions are the elements I need to make sure everybody walks away with. If they don't get anything else, this is what people walk away with. And that, I think, will help structure your pitch a bit more. But I think generally you can tell that you are very passionate about the industry and that you have experience in it, because you're getting out with these facts and putting them out there. I think it's about how you kind of structure it a bit more so that it isn't necessarily a bunch of numbers and stats in one place, but it kind of ebbs and flows throughout to continue to add those proof points for your listener.
I think to some extent I would maybe even summarize what they're saying by saying that to some extent it's coming across a little bit as if you're trying to remember these lines and it's not coming across as this is the passion of your life. This is something that you care deeply about and know inside out, because you're still thinking about what you're saying. And I think, a combination of some of these suggestions, especially the idea of, the way you break it down and think about it, I think would help. Probably doing it, a few hundred more times will help too. Yeah. But just making it something that it's, the statement you're making in the way you deliver it is, this is what I'm all about. This is my passion.
Another thing I would say too is you think about, you mentioned the school problem. So either give data around, there are 200,000 schools in the U.S. or some anchoring statistics so that it elucidates this point you're making about, and they're all dealing with one issue, multiple software, but I want to fix that issue by offering one solution, integration. So what are the creative things that you could have that really help identify some of the magnitude of the problem, right? Because I'm still wondering, okay, is this just, in my county or my school system, we don't have that. We have one system. So like something that lets people know that this is a broader issue. And I want to touch back on his point too as well, Lauren's point around the practicing. Not everyone loves public speaking. So you have to practice in front of the mirror, in front of friends, till your friends are sick of hearing from you even, because then you'll become so comfortable with the material, and then that'll show through, right? Because you don't want someone to think about, your level of comfort with the idea or pitch, because my proxy is you in terms of, am I going to invest? What I'm going to do is going to be really driven by like how you present the idea. So because of that, you want to make sure like that you incorporate a lot of the feedback, because I personally think it's a phenomenal idea. I would be interested in understanding the market, because then when you give me 20 per pupil, this, that, and the other, I'm still not anchored on what the market size is. So just by saying up front, I'm making this up, there are 200,000 schools, and half of whatever the statistics you can find, something that really scopes out that problem so that we get it, and then we'll understand like business model.
I think one pattern we've seen across the pitches today is for the founders to focus on what is the one thing that you want the listener, whoever you're pitching to remember is. Okay. And you actually did a really strong job of that in one of the two most important parts in a pitch, the beginning and the very end. In the very end, you ended with your ask, which is super powerful to do. So that was great. I thought there was a big opportunity at the beginning of your pitch to have a more memorable opening, because you open, as a lot of founders do, with your introduction. And whether it's a question that puts us in the position of your user, or if it's a story about how someone experiences this problem or how you're solving it, those are ways that you can use that opening to be the first thing, and maybe the most important thing that your listener remembers.
Another idea on that is, looking here, you could ask, how many of you are parents that have children or school-age children? Now, you don't even have to take it a step further by asking the question, because what if our school does have integrate systems, so to speak? But that's just that initial connection to the audience. You ask me a question, yeah, I'm a parent. Oh, I care about my kids. What is he going to talk about, right? So what is something that could connect to the audience based on, and again, that you try to read, you see, okay, well, there's one ring on a thing. Does he have kids? Like, what are the things that you could do as you process from walking down there, looking at the audience? How can you create connectivity so that when you do pitch your idea, that there's something you can anchor to?
Yeah, and another point that I think could be helpful is, Kevin, I think that there is a presence about you. And yeah, we're here filming for Forbes 8, but you can utilize your space, right? So if standing perfectly still and giving a pitch just doesn't feel natural, then use your space and walk and move. But that isn't to say you just pace back and forth the entire pitch, but you pick your points of movement that feel comfortable, allow you to, hone in on the judges that have kids, or focus in on the people that you see your head nodding and are, along with your pitch as you're going along it. So utilize your space also to the degree that you feel comfortable, that allows you to overall enhance your pitch a bit more.
Okay.
One thing I will say that's a very strong positive, you could see as we give you the feedback, you're taking it all in. So you're receptive to feedback, and as someone pitching entrepreneur, like that's a good thing, because it shows that, you can take the advice, incorporate, et cetera. And so I think it's great to watch you because even I see the passion in that regard because you're interested in how you could be the best you to pitch this idea with this game-changing idea. So that is important as well.
Thank you.
I think it's clear we're all buying your message. We all like what you're selling. I wonder, you talked about the overall market. You gave a big number for that. It is an impressive number. I wonder if there's a way to break that down a little bit and make it a little more tangible. Maybe by addressing it in terms of your current ask for money, what you were going to use that for. Give us an interim step where you want to get. That gives us a little bit more to hang on besides just the overall size of a big market.
Okay. That's true. Well, guys, I'm glad you like the content. I see that I need to work on my body posture to articulate the message better, but this is really helpful because now I know before pitching, I need to engage with the audience so they can get connected and hooked so they can follow me through the journey of understanding what I'm trying to do. Thank you, guys. All right, cool. All right, cool.
Congratulations, Kevin. How do you think you did on your pitch?
Well, the nerves got the best of me at the moment, but the positive silver lining to it is I know that people can understand the message, and the best thing to do to hook the person is to connect with them emotionally. And if you can do that, you can get your pitch across, no matter how nervous you can be.
You were definitely taking notes and listening. Anything surprising coming from the experts?
Surprising. I would say the most surprising part about it was them understanding my message from the beginning. Because over the years of pitching sometimes, people always have like a little disconnect on what I'm trying to convey, but for them to know what I'm trying to say, but just my posture was the problem, was actually great news to my ears.
That is good news. So what are your next steps for Integrate?
My next step is to work with the development team on migrating our software where downloading the software won't be an issue, and just working on pitching and just continue scaling the company.
A lot of work ahead. Congratulations again to you, Kevin.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck.
I felt the judges focused more on my performance more than the content because they understood the content, which is good news, but they were more focused on my body language and how I portrayed myself and
Him now? Well, we got to go to the 4 o'clock session. They want him to repitch. Oh.
me.
All right, experts. So we've heard from all of the entrepreneurs. What were some of the common challenges that entrepreneurs face today?
I think generally that all entrepreneurs face as they start doing pitches and do more of them is a general nervousness that you feel as you're approaching the moment that you have to deliver your pitch. Even though you may have practiced so much, there's still this degree of nervousness that I think sometimes can overtake folks. So I think generally today we saw some folks more nervous than others, and we saw folks, are able to embrace that nervousness and still deliver a great pitch. So I think overall we see a bit of nerves that play into effect here, but it's about how entrepreneurs can internalize that and still overcome that to deliver a great pitch.
I think one of the challenges, which is a challenge for many entrepreneurs, when you're in that early phase where you try to have those advisors to help you bridge the gap to understand what an investor wants to hear. And so you have this great idea and you've put together a solution, but then how do you translate that into something that is investable? And so I think that is some of the challenges that entrepreneurs face, because you have to take that idea and make it real for someone else to have interest in buying.
There's a real chicken and egg aspect to this that I think we saw here today and that all entrepreneurs face. It's, you have a great idea, you need money to execute it. How much of the idea do you have to execute before you can convince somebody to give you more money so that you can take it further? There's a real dance aspect to that, trying to figure out, where do you need to get to be ready to take that investment money?
And I had left my checkbook at home. I was about to write checks, but unfortunately, it was not here with me. So.
One of the biggest challenges for everybody that pitched today is really trying to keep in mind an awareness of what the listener needs to hold on to in order to engage with you as a company after the pitch, which is really the outcome that everybody is looking for. And taking the time to look at your pitch, whether it's 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, and understand how each part of it really builds towards that single outcome, takes a lot of time. And when you are out in the field, operating, building a business, trying to put these partnerships together, raising money, managing the team, it's hard to sometimes make time to invest in representing the company with that level of attention, but it's so important to do.
That's a great point, because I've had a lot of wonderful ideas that sound good to me, but when I share them, I'm like, oh, maybe that wasn't a good idea. And so having the time to have others really, look at, consider, evaluate your idea is a great thing.
All some really great feedback here for our entrepreneurs, and each of you touched on something that's important, and we know that as entrepreneurs you can't get your business off the ground without money. What advice would you have to entrepreneurs who are seeking funding?
I think part of my advice, and we heard them in a few pitches here today, are be very specific about your ask, whether that be the amount that you want, the advisors you need, what you hope to gain from them. The more specificity you can place around your ask, whether that be the dollars of investment that you need, etc., the easier it is for investors, judges, whoever is listening, for them to start putting dots together to either figure out how to help you or if they're able to be an investor themselves. You never know what people's networks can bring. So part of the benefit, I think, is being very specific about what you need so people can immediately understand how to help you.
And one thing that's very interesting about that point of being specific about your ask, we did some focus groups with entrepreneurs, and we found that sometimes women and minorities were more likely to ask for less because thinking that that's a better fit, but the investor could hear, if that's all they need, I don't see the big idea. Why would I even invest in that? So being specific about your ask and not trying to calculate, is this enough or is it too little, but tying the ask to what you're trying to get accomplished would address that for many people.
I think the most important thing for entrepreneurs to keep in mind as they go out building their companies, whether it's in a pitch competition or in another kind of meeting that you need in order to attract the resources that you need to build the company, is to always be thinking about how you want the person on the other side of the table to participate. And sometimes that's as an investor, sometimes it's as a potential employee, but whatever that ask is, have it be very clear and have it be on mind when you're talking and engaging with that other party.
One of the things I've often heard from entrepreneurs who have successfully raised money is the advice they give to others who are seeking money is to wait as long as possible to do it. And I think that's something that people tend to lose track of. They sometimes think that getting that investment from somebody is the be-all and end-all, a moment of celebration, and it's really just the beginning in a lot of ways. It can be the beginning of a lot of heartache sometimes. The key is to put yourself in as strong a position as possible when you get that money. And sometimes that means going longer than you'd like to without investment money, but finding ways to scrape, to bring in revenue by selling something any way you can, so that you put off that moment as long as possible.
So based on the 3 pitches you heard, which of the 3 entrepreneurs would you like to see come back to repitch again? John?
I'd like to see Kevin come back and pitch again.
Sekou?
I would like to see Kevin as well.
Natasha?
Kevin.
Lauren?
I'd like to see Halima, but Kevin would be good too.
All right, so Kevin it is. He gets another chance.
Wow. Oh, Hey, so let's go. Okay.
Kevin, you get a second chance to pitch your idea. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good and surprised, but I'm feeling good based off the last feedback that I got.
All right, go get him.
I got it. Okay. Wow. Thank you for a second opportunity, and here's my pitch. Hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Celisca, and I'm the co-founder of Integrate. Do you guys all have kids in school? Imagine having your kids not getting the education that they need because of all these different softwares their teacher has to manage instead of giving your kids the education that they deserve. Well, the solution to all of that is Integrate, an educational software that can automate all the management so your kids can actually get the education that they deserve. So the software can automate the management so teachers can actually have the time to do what they have to do in an education setting. The market in this space is quite amazing. And the reason why I say that is because it's $1.5 billion in just the US alone. Imagine the global market. Our traction up to date, we have 5 schools currently beta testing, and we have 2 letters of intent. And we are expecting about $100,000 by the end of this year, of 2019. And lastly, we are requesting $500,000 for the reason to help our pilot to get the feedback and innovate our software and to scale the company after post-pilot. Thank you for your time.
Kevin, that was awesome. I think that was a great improvement from the first round that you pitched. I can clearly see where a lot of our feedback was taken into account here, and that I think you really delivered a great pitch after really incorporating that feedback.
I like to always say feedback is a gift, and you gave back to us with a strong presentation, so good job, and I look forward to seeing what you are able to do with Integrate.
You're a different founder up there. It was an amazing, amazing improvement. Really well done. And I think part of what you're also illustrating is that by taking feedback and pushing it back into your company or into your pitch, you motivate others to help you more, because now all we want to do is to give you more support and see what you do with it.
You turned that around really quickly. It's amazing that you were able to incorporate what we threw at you and come back here just a couple minutes later and give that more refined pitch. I suspect that you'll keep working on it, it'll get even better. So, yes. Great job.
Thank you, guys. Your pitch is a gift to me and to this world when I give it back and give you guys the credit for making me this founder.
We got another integrator.
Thanks, man.